Surprise, surprise, I'm creating a character. Here in Vinterra's brand new world of Lithora, we've got a whole bunch of classes that aren't there in the base game. The miner, farmer, alchemist, or even the zeal guard. I'm not going to mess around with class selection too long. I'm just going to jump right in as a zeal guard, get a bit of extra move speed, a bit of extra health, and access to the coolest gear in the game. Alright, we're in. Now I've got one question. How fast do you think we can get some steel? There's like at least 50 people online, and they're all hungry. There is not going to be anything left within a mile of spawn. I'm going as far south as I can right off the bat. Don't worry, I'm not going all the way down to the savannas and jungles this time around, but I do think that if we head that direction, we'll find more food than if we head up toward the snow. Okay, I think we definitely made the right choice. Let me take a peek at the map and see what other people are doing. What's interesting here is it looks like other players aren't visible on the map by default, which means I can't just see little specks on the map and give them a wide berth to try and make sure I can get some stuff. I promise this isn't scripted, but I think I found the first meteor of the server. If it was going to be anyone, it should definitely be me. Okay, it's time to do our basic gear stuff. Need our knife. Now we can get some baskets. I'm just gonna come right over here where one of my fellow seraphs seems to be posted up. Ghostly, looming. I'm just gonna yoink a little bit of this clay for later. I'll just grab a stack of this stuff or so, and then we'll be set for making molds and whatnot. I think the plan is to keep moving until we stop seeing empty bushes and chopped cattails everywhere, and then try really hard not to die and have to make the walk all the way back. Ooh, you're made of food. Oh, I did not have my AR-15 ready for this many hogs. Give me all that yummy meat. Oh yeah, once I cook this up, that'll keep us fed for a while. Now keep an eye out and tell me every time I miss some copper on the surface, because I'm going to want to mark every bit I find on the way. Of course, by the time you tell me about it, it'll be too late, but it's the thought that counts. And just like that, we've already found our first little bits of copper. Oh man, this is a lot of colors for my colorblind. I get a feeling that anyone who's moving south is going to keep going south in a straight line from spawn, because they probably want to go all the way. I'm just trying to get some distance between me and everyone else. Well, if I can hardly see a thing, I know you can't see it all on YouTube right now, so we'll meet up again once I've figured out where we're going to set up. I didn't know how else to use the night productively, so we went on a bit of a swim. You know, I want to sufficiently isolate myself on this multiplayer server I chose to play on. And who else? I don't know if you can even see it in the video, but right here, ever so slightly, is the white flicker of a distant nameplate. Who else swam all the way across this ocean all night to get away from people? Same brain. And more importantly, unlike on that peninsula we came from, there's actually trees here, so if I want to make a trip back, I can do it on a raft instead of swimming all night. Now, we've come a decent ways from spawn, so let's try and play like we're on hardcore, huh? No dying. At least until I can set my spawn. I do not want to make that swim again. And of course, as soon as I said I don't want to take any risks, I see a cave and I want to go into it. This is why those cave divers get stuck and die. Just quick in and out. And that's it. See, quick in and out. Nothing. Honestly disappointed. But this one... Ow? I don't know what hit me. Did I stub my toe? There is another person. I was not hallucinating a nameplate. Now I have a bit of a dilemma. Do we want to look around for more copper, or am I going to sit here and grind with a pan for a couple hours? I have some pretty interesting plans for my builds this time, and I'm going to go out of my comfort zone a bit, but that's for later when we have access to real tools and stuff. I don't think it gets much better as far as places to set up a temporary house. There's not too many bushes in this clearing, and I haven't seen any wolves, which means that they shouldn't be spawning here, and if they are, they'll be pretty sparse. We've got granite rock, which means it shouldn't be too hard to find the ores we care about. access to water, a desert, a coastline. If things get funky in the winter, we've got a hot spring. Though, hopefully I won't be here for more than one winter. I think I like this place. Yeah, we'll set up shop here. So I think what I want to do here is I want to do a little elevated cabin. I'm not sure if that's a very obvious concept, so I'll put a couple pictures of what I mean here up on screen. Since our World of Vintage story is so full of monsters, I do like the idea that if I'm going to be living alone, I'm living up off the floor. That way they have to try a little bit harder to eat me alive. We'll refine the concept more later once we have real tools like a saw, but for now a log cabin on stilts is pretty much what I'm envisioning. So let's just get the foundation of this done now. Make sure we have a place to hide if things get spooky outside. Right, if we don't do something about food, we're going to starve before we even get to begin. Thankfully I've got all this juicy meat on hand. So let's get that cooking right underneath our precariously wooden home that we're working on here. And so, after getting all the necessities going, charcoal, molds, pit kilns, I went to the supermarket to stock up on local flavors and stop myself going hungry for a bit longer. While I was out, I stumbled upon just enough copper to skip the dreaded 2-hour panning session. Now all that's left to do with it is make ourselves a pickaxe and we'll be out of the caveman age before we've even finished our silly little cabin. Ooh. Oh, tongs. You'd think I'd remember that since I'm the one who made the guide. Haven't even finished our place to live and we've already got the copper pick going. Almost makes me wonder if I should just keep living rough until I've got a saw. Then we can have a nice presentable roof and plank floors and all that nice stuff. But I'm no stranger to just punching things out and replacing them. Okay, you know what? Let's take this pickaxe and go scoop up that copper before anyone else gets it. Yippee! Copper! Yippee! Me remembering that I need a hammer to break this apart and actually use it. Wait. Why do I always forget? Yeah, I think that's a pretty good copper haul for having just been here for about an hour and a half. But then everything went wrong. Character creation? My copper! Well, I guess now I can pick a better class. Just kidding. Apparently, there was a world corruption issue that should be fixed now. Yep, can't ever have a launch without some sort of hiccups. I don't blame them, but I also expect it. The good news is I can use the starter kit command. Okay, cool. So it looks like in the new world we get a little bit of a goodie bag to make up for what we lost. But nothing can make up for the loss of my half-completed cabin. Now what are these? Professional's Guide to Adventuring. Mining. Oh, see, I think I know what these are. Right. So I expected the books to have a more video gamey name, like Secondary Class Potter or something. But basically on Lithora, you can have a second class to go with your first one that gives you access to most of what it does. So I have the extra walk speed here from Zealguard. If I took Malefactor Secondary Class, my walk speed wouldn't go up by another 20%, but I would gain access to the sling crafting recipe and all that. So it seems like they cost 1 rare shard, so I guess that's why we got some to start with. And if I take this secondary book for clay, I should get the Potter as a secondary class. As you can see, I've gone and consumed that book, via mouth I assume, and gained the crack hand trait. So we have access to better molds and increased production of just about everything clay and brick related. I know it says reduced, but what it means is less than a real Potter, still more than a commoner. I know, it confused me too. Now the reason I chose Potter for my secondary is we have the bricklayers mod here, and there's a lot to make with it. So I think we're going to get a lot of mileage out of increased frit production. The rest of it is just gravy. Now apparently the reason I have an ore is that there's canoes to the south, so I'm going to see if that's true. Ah, yep, lots of them. And once again, I'll see you once I've found a place to settle down. And it's been a couple of days, but I think I've found us a satisfactory new place to set up. And I think I see a meteor on my map as well. Hold on. Nope, round cave. And since the sun is going down, I'm going to, at risk of locking myself into a purgatory of dying and respawning and having a bad time, set my spawn here with one of these gears that was in our We're Sorry for Corrupting the World goodie bag. Why don't use both of them? And now we can get to work on rebuilding. I kind of like this little pond here, so we'll set up right next to it. It's dark, I hear howling, and I'm scared. What do you mean monsters begin to appear? I was busy setting up my land claim. Let's just do something small instead this time so that we have a place to hide. I think I was going a little too big last time. Listen, Dave, I like you, but you can't come calling me at 5 a.m. I'm busy moving into my new place. Look at that, popped up overnight. Just needs a door and roof. Crazy how much faster a project can get done when you actually keep it manageable. And so I got all the necessities going a second time. Charcoal, pit kilns, etc. And then while I waited for all that to process, I went and got lots and lots of grass for a roof. Certainly not up to the high standards I was exercising building China back in the other world, but it's a place to live and I won't die while I'm inside it. Let's smith up our copper, make some real tools, and get to prospecting, because I'm already sick of not having a chisel. Oh, I forgot the tongs. Do I... Tongs, 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 tongs. At least I remembered the hammer this time. Now once these cool, we'll be able to go looking for more metals and hopefully stop living like animals in our blocky, unchiseled house. I think I saw clay this way. If I'm ever not self-employed and I have to do an interview and they ask me what my biggest weakness is, I can't be honest and just tell them it's my horrible sense of direction. It's just too embarrassing. I was just digging from this clay pit earlier. Well, you're not clay, but you are food. Ouch. Food hurts. I knew I should have marked that down on my map. Well, I wanted to make some storage vessels, but the sun is going down, so I guess I'm gonna go back inside and work on editing. We'll just live with baskets for now. Okay, hold on. I just had the brilliant idea to go check my footage. And the clay I was thinking of should be right here. Which means I walked right past it at least twice. Nice. You might notice by the fact that we've jumped forward a couple weeks on the clock in the top left that it's been a little bit. I realized that I was up way too late, and I got about 5 hours of sleep, had a real busy day, and now I'm back, and it looks like the Carrots delivery service has brought us all our stuff from the other world. So I've got that copper we collected, a little bit of extra charcoal to show for my time, and that's really about all that matters in here. The rest of it is kind of just clutter. I appreciate the thoroughness and attention to detail, but I'm not really sure I needed 2 raw red meat and 9 dry grass. Still glad to have the copper, because we've even got a hammer to smash it now. So let's put our tools together, and we'll actually get on to that prospecting now. I was looking at my inventory putting handles on these tools, and I realized this meat is a different color, and apparently it's aged in my pockets. You ever eat some nice tender pocket-aged steak? I know the sun's going down, but rift activity's low, so let's just see what kind of readings we get around where we're living. I'm definitely alone here because all the food is still on the bushes, which is a good sign for our ability to get some metal. Alright, so here's how I usually take my readings. Just dig straight down, cover myself up for safety, break the block directly beneath me, and we dig 3 blocks this way, take a reading, do another reading, and then 1 last 3 blocks this way. So, no tin, but we do have access to both zinc and bismuth nearby, which means we can get our hands on some bismuth bronze, which seems to be what I end up doing pretty much every time. We've also got a minuscule reading on magnetite, which means we have iron somewhere nearby. Honestly, this is a really, really promising reading. We've got a lot of stuff here. I'm actually kind of excited about the chromite for pigments. Usually it's a bit of a pain to get. I'm sure you all have at least a rough idea of how prospecting works, so I won't bore you with the details of the whole process. I'll just see you once I've actually triangulated something useful. Well, we can just mine right here and get some tin instead, apparently. I got all these readings up here, figured out where we could find some zinc, and now I'm getting an ultra high tin reading down here. So I think this is where we're going to dig. Let me just go back home and grab some rope ladders real quick. I don't know if this is going to be enough ladders, but we'll make it work. Let's go get underground as quick as we can, because rift activity's high and that's scary, and Boathorn don't miss, and I don't have a helmet yet. Now we'll do the usual and dig 5 blocks in each direction, take an ore node search. When you're doing this, you can think of it as making a really wide cylinder straight down through the earth. It's kind of like taking a core sample in real life. Except Instead of using a machine that drills a hole for you, you're kind of just doing it by hand, which is a bit weird, but at least it's somewhat founded in reality. Makes me wonder if we'll ever get a Jonas sampler of some sort. Something to take a bit of the work out of prospecting. Castile's the endgame right now, but it won't always be. I just thought to check the wiki, and Cassiterite doesn't actually generate until we get lower. Actually, it shouldn't start generating until around Y90. So I'm just going to go a little deeper before we start prospecting again, because this pro pick is not looking too good. Alright, now we can start looking again. We found it! Right as the spooky noises started to kick in. That's good, because I don't have a quick way to return to the surface, since I've been picking my ladders up as I go down. Now I believe, and I hope I'm not wrong, that on the server we have a mod that returns the functionality of blocking spawns by placing rocks. It's a little cheesy, but there's a million other ways to do it, so it doesn't particularly bother me, and if it's in the game, I'm gonna use it. You can achieve the same thing even in vanilla by chiseling the blocks, because enemies won't spawn on chiseled blocks because they're technically not a full block. Maybe someday we'll see that changed, but since light sources are so scarce, I'll definitely be kind of sad when that day comes. Alright, let's try and make this quick before we go insane. Now, one unfortunate thing is that our class, the Zeal Guard, has reduced ore yield and mining speed, but we don't need that much tin, so it should be fine, and once we get to iron, the veins are so big that it won't matter. I keep thinking it's lagging, but I think my character's actually tweaking because our stability's getting so low. I think we'll go up for a breath real quick. Starting to see things on the walls, man. You know what? This pickaxe is almost broken. We'll just go home. Now we can get some bronze, and I already have a lead on iron if we go to the north. Alright, it's bronze time. I'm grabbing the tongs first this time, and then we'll smash up all our ores, and make as much of this into bronze as we can. There we go, that'll make us 18 ingots worth. I've neglected to do so already, so we'll get to making an anvil mold, because we're going to need it. I probably should have gotten these going ahead of time, but I'm the professional here. And the professional says that we're going to sacrifice some charcoal so that I can avoid waiting an extra 20 minutes. And you know what, while we're waiting, I'm going to start making some calcined flint too, because we're going to need fire clay as soon as we get this bronze. I am going straight to iron. I guess while we're waiting on smithing things, we can get these flax seeds planted while there's still time in the year. And call me impatient, but I did a little more wandering around outside, and I think we have enough seeds to justify planting some things we can eat too. I was trying to hold off on doing any farming until we get a saw so that we can use buckets and place water sources and make a nice little garden next to the cabin. I don't know what the temperatures are going to look like here, but I assume it's going to get cold in another few months, and I don't want my crops dying. And you may say to yourself, well, we're making bronze, there's an anvil mold cooking right now, you can make a saw on that anvil. But honestly, I don't usually bother making anything extraneous until I get to iron, and this is going to be no exception. I want to get my good tools, and I want to do things fast. It looks like our tools are done cooling. So now we can go from almost broken copper tools to almost respectable tools. It takes about 10 in-game hours or 20 real-life minutes for the pit kilns to finish cooking when you use charcoal. So they should be done any minute now. Listen man, can you hurry it up? It's getting dark out here. See, any minute now, just like we rehearsed. And if I did my math right, this should still be hot enough to pour. And it's getting a little cramped in here, but we'll just be extra careful about not stepping on the molten metal. There's a couple ingots worth left over, but I'll just reheat them if I have to. Okay, so we've got our anvil. I'll just put that somewhere completely safe. And this time, I'm going to make sure that we're ready so that we're not waiting on pit kilns again, so I'm going to get some fire clay bricks going. People say that this game takes a lot of time, and especially that there's a lot of time gating, but this is really the secret to how you manage that. It's harder to do when you're new at the game, but once you understand everything you need to be doing at once, it's pretty easy to just having a lot of things running synchronously. It's not really a lot of plates spinning at once, or you actually have to put in any effort to keep things working. It's kind of just like, you set it and forget it. I'm not much of a mobile gamer, but it's kind of a similar concept. I know a lot of those games have time gating in the sense that you start a craft on something and now you're waiting 3 days, or maybe I'm just thinking of Warframe this time. But having the craft going isn't really stopping you from doing anything else. It's easy to get hung up on the wait times and kind of focus on them a little too much when you could be doing something else instead of sitting there twiddling your thumbs. I feel like that's the main thing to take away here. I know that advice is probably pretty obvious to us tryhards, but I know some people are daunted when they see things like the 3-day wait for leather, and it is in a sense time gating, but really it only takes a moment of your actual time to get everything set up, and then you can just think of it as a nice treat to come back to later. That's why I like playing this game in multiplayer. It makes it into a bit of a zen garden. I can sort of set these things up and just come back and see how my things have bloomed in my absence. It's a little more of a commitment when you actually have to spend a few hours in game before everything is done, but in multiplayer that's not an issue since time passes while you're not there. Now I'll forge ourselves a chisel. Then we'll go back to where we mined the tin and wish we thought to quarry some andesite last time we were here. Make the whole walk back home without being able to come up with any good jokes about how grindy this game is, and then grind our calcined flint into dust. And now we can make our fire clay, and this is actually where we get to do something kind of cool. Remember that we have the crack hand trait, which we picked up earlier when we consumed that book. This is unique to the server, and what it means is because we have so much experience with crack, if we craft this silly rock here, instead of using 4 fire clay to make a single brick, we can use 2, which means we get double the bricks at the cost of a little bit of stone. Just to show what a difference this makes, I'll also make some by clay forming. So we're starting here with 27 clay in hand, having spent 1 to start clay forming. Would you shut up? I'm trying to do a demonstration here. We're down to 16 clay now. That means we spent 12, so the bricks still cost 2 apiece. But we can skip all of that clay forming effort just by using up all that extra stone we get when mining. And trust me, I usually have way more little rocks than I know what to do with. I'm usually just throwing them out. But for now, since we need to pass the night by anyways, I'll make them by hand. And now that all those are cooking up, I can throw myself into bed and dream happy dreams about all the iron we're going to find tomorrow. Because, like I said earlier, 5 hours of sleep, and I'm more of a 10 hours beauty sleep kind of person. Lucky for you, you'll see me tomorrow. Now, let me tell you, that was not as easy as I hoped it would be. We do have iron going now, and I am absolutely thrilled about that. But it was a bit of a process, so let me just explain. Well, we started off strong. Using the all-powerful mantra of, I'm not playing hardcore, so I'm not afraid to die, I went plundering through ruins and caves looking for access to iron the quick way. Cave after cave after cave, but I just kept hitting dead ends. Determined not to make another nothing montage, I decided I'd have to do things the old-fashioned way. Oh, yeah, and before I forget. Using an entire evening and night, exercising some very sketchy methods to skimp on ladders, which I was definitely never punished for, I found the desire to prospect somewhere else. With a more promising reading in the new location, I found a second wind of motivation to grind. Honestly, I was pretty worried for a while that we'd run out of bronze before we found iron, and I was down there until 4 AM, but eventually our luck turned around. Have to take a break from looking for iron for a bit. There's a storm coming in just a minute. I'm unarmored with nothing but a cheap sword, a stack of bandages, and some stone spears. This isn't going to be a very fair fight. For them, that is. Game's easy. Of course, the real problem with not having any armor is that the only times I got hit is when I was looting. And so I can't actually stop to loot the creatures I kill, otherwise I might die. We did manage to loot that double-headed though, so we got some more temporal gears. Well, back to the old grind. That was a fun distraction. Back to what we truly yearn for. Well, I didn't put this here, but it's convenient for some prospecting. Oh, that's why that's marked. You should have just used waypoints. I almost didn't think about it for a second. Oh my god, this has become so routine. It's 3 a.m. I've been doing this all night. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Aha! Above my head. I can't stay down here too long because of temporal stability, so we'll see which gives out first, my gear or my pickaxe. Okay, we're tweaking again. I think it's time to return to the surface, but I'll be back for more. Well, there's a lot more iron down there, so I think I'll do some more mining off camera. Once they've made lots of iron to bring with us, we'll be heading out to find a place to make our permanent home. So before I leave the cabin looking like this, we'll start off next episode by prettying the place up. Once again, I said it a couple times in my last few videos, a few months ago now, but I'm playing on the Vinterra server, which is a whitelisted server, but applications are very easy, so if you're interested in joining, just go ahead and head on over. I'll have a link to the website in the description. And for now, thanks for coming along. I'll see you next time.